Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. In today's topic, we are going to discuss Chromebooks. I had a webinar this morning with somebody out west, and it was actually a very interesting seminar. This seminar that I did online was not a fit. You didn't use webcam or microphone. It was just basically like an open chat room. And the thing I really found interesting about the Chromebooks, it amazes me now that they're starting to offer them with the Core i5. So if you go through Dell, I'm going to go to Dell.com right now. I would have to say the only thing that I really like about the Chromebook is that it's less susceptible to viruses after doing more research. Because the topic that I'm about to get into right now is when you got your malware con artists from India and trying to, majority of the viruses that they write are targeted towards Windows users, because that's what majority of the people across the world are using is Windows computers. The only people, I would say about 75% is Windows. A good 10 to 15% of the world is using Macintosh. And then there's a small percentage that's using Linux. And actually, looking at like Linux, they actually have a lot to offer. And it's actually it's came along quite well within the last 20 years compared to the Unix-based system that was implemented many years ago. Well, basically Unix was no different than like DOS or COBOL. I'm not talking COBOL tools, I'm talking the machine language that was used years ago. So, but the Chromebooks, there's a few knocks against them that I'm going to get put out on the table, basically. The thing that you have to realize with a Chromebook is, I don't care how easy they tell you it is to maintain a Chromebook or how easy it is to repair. A lot of times if you have to replace like a CMOS battery or if you got a memory module goes bad, you have to disassemble just about the entire computer to get to the memory. Or if you got to replace a keyboard or reseat a keyboard or touchpad, assemble it. And there is times that people have brought Chromebooks here that have needed, it's not the parts that are so expensive. It's the labor that is very expensive in repairing. Because there are companies out that specialize in Chromebooks. And a lot of times for the schools, these companies try to make a deal with all your K-12 education so that you outsource all your Chromebooks to this company for repairs, maintenance, upgrades. But the thing with a Chromebook is there's really not much you can upgrade. The only thing that you can possibly do is just upgrade the browser. But that's about it. But the OS that is on there, I don't really think there's a lot you can do to upgrade it. Well, what's nice about the Chrome OS is it's very light. There's not a lot of hidden stuff behind it. So when you use it, it's very swift. It's not slow and sluggish. But to be honest, I would not spend $2,000 for a Chromebook, and I wouldn't even spend $600 for one. For a Chromebook, I'd probably pay about $50 for it, honestly. New. Because all the stuff that's inside, it's just, they're kind of built substandard in my opinion. Because I got a replacement keyboard sitting on the shelf there in case I ever get another Chromebook. There's two different grades of Chromebooks, and I've stated this already. You got your consumer grade Chromebook, and then you got your educational series Chromebook. And with your consumer grade Chromebook, so like an HP for instance, the thing that you have to look at is, so the keyboard assembly bezel on a consumer grade will have a more detailed design, and chances are either the bottom of the machine or the top or the cover will be like a teal green or pink or blue or something. That's designed for consumer. Now the educational series one might have a dark gray, and the keyboard assembly bezel is not going to have any rose malt designs on it or anything. It's just going to be a solid color, and that will be a educational series Chromebook. Now, as far as the software on the Chromebook, between the educational and the consumer grade version, it's pretty much the same software. You don't have home edition or professional edition Chrome OS. It's the same. The only thing that's different between like the G Suite. So for instance, like a homeowner will use well, before I make a fool out of myself here, why don't I pull up my other page here on the screen. So that I have everything set out. So let's see here, pricing. So for basic, so the typical homeowner, even though the Google Android stuff is basically supposed to be free in that, but it's like you go to the Google or the Play Store, there are apps in there that you do pay for, but sometimes those paid version of the apps are better than the free. And not everything that's in the Play Store is Google's certified either. So you have to watch out for what you're downloading, because some of those apps are malicious. Not so much from the Play Store, but if you go to third-party websites for Android apps, be very careful what you download, because you could potentially either be in a pirated app, or it could be malicious. So even though that theoretically the Chromebooks are not susceptible to viruses, but I still believe that you can potentially pick up something. Even though there are people that argue that down, stating that how could that ever happen, but you still can. I don't care how much they claim. So I got my plans up here, the G Suites. So the typical homeowner, you would spend about $6 a month, and you would get emailed. You would get Google's version of FaceTime. You would also have chat. You'd have a calendar. You'd also have a 30 gig Google Cloud storage. You'd get Google Docs, Sheets, which is Microsoft Excel, Slides is Microsoft PowerPoint, Forums, which is actually very similar What's really nice about the Google Cloud platform is you don't actually have to physically store the program on the machine. This is basically a knockoff of Microsoft 365. In Microsoft 365, you pay I should also have Microsoft here. Microsoft actually has their own version of cloud, which is called Microsoft Azure. And basically, Microsoft uses that protocol as is more for cloud computing. In cloud computing, instead of actually having physical servers here, you just pay a subscription fee every month for services, and how many computers you have hooked up to the domain. You also pay per computer as well. So it's a horse apiece, because either way you're still going to pay anyway. But like with Chrome, if you're a non-for-profit, all you have to do is file your tax exempt number, and you can get the education suite for free. But if you're like a business, you pay $25 a month, but you would get a terabyte per user. You would also you get your typical Office suite. You get your note sharing. You can also engage employees with like chat groups and stuff like that, or projects or something. You got automated and integrated with external G Suite. So you can actually script your custom apps or certain protocols in your organization, and you also get security management. And after working with G Suites, it's really not that bad, in my opinion. The admin console is spectacular. When you go into it, everything is laid out, easy access. Anybody could manage it or operate the G Suites. I can't really bash it at all, because it's user friendly. There's no problems with it. So Google, you got my thumbs up for your G Suites, because for the money, you're actually getting a lot for your money. Minus the fact that Google steals your information and sells it to third parties. But the thing you have to realize is it's been around for at least the technology's been here for at least the last decade and a half. Because you can also link your phones to the Google Suites. So it doesn't matter what Android phone you have, or if you have an Android tablet. Acer makes a good Android tablet. Samsung has a good one. HP, I believe, has or had a few over time. And even some cases, you could even link your Apple products to Google. So there's a lot of good advantages to it. It's just I'm not impressed with the Chromebooks and the quality. Because with a Windows computer, you can still take advantage of the Google products, because you don't actually have to physically install it on Windows. All you do is you just go to your Google Chrome and you log in with your email credential and password, and then you would have access to your organization, and your admin would also, through settings, can demote certain things. Like, let's say Charles would have access to the file drive, the Office Suite program, and the collaborate billing and payments, and send and receive, for instance. But then Charles would not have reset a password app, because why would somebody in accounting need to reset the password? Only the IT admin would have that. So that's what's nice about it. You can give certain people certain access to things, or take things away from people. It's perfect for a school because you can kind of restrict how much people store stuff on the cloud, or restrict what people can do on the devices. So that's a win. And actually, there's a lot of good educational resources that are available through Google. A lot of the parochial schools are using it, because I keep in touch with a few of them in the area, and after consulting with them, they've been using, just for pretty close to a decade, they've been using Chromebooks. And other than the fact that they go through them every 2 years, and they're, personally, I think they could get away with like Lenovo netbooks or Dell or HP netbooks, and just use Google Chrome to access the suite instead. But then again, they need a Windows domain controller and DHCP and DNS servers and all that, and a filter to filter out the content. Because here on the Chrome or Google suites, that you have protocols on there that you can also filter or web filter stuff. So it depends on what you pay for. There's a lot of, so you got your typical, you got your Jamboard, you got Keep, G Suite add-ons, app scripts, sites, slides, forms, sheets, docs. So you also have Work Insights, Endpoint, Vault, Admin. So you also have, you can work remotely. You don't even have to manage it on site. You could sit at your house, even work on it. So the other good advantage is, let's say that this fake COVID-19 stuff comes around again, and a lot of people work from home, and it's been proven that you can get productivity done at home. So a lot of schools, they can resort back to dishing the Chromebooks out for at home, and kids can get on their Zoom meetings with the teachers. And even like companies that are considered non-essential, they would be able to work from home again using the Google products. Or if your company uses Microsoft, then there's services on their site that your organization can take advantage of. So that was, yeah, the way technology is moving these days, it is quite remarkable what you can do with the technology. And even the technical college that I was attending Well, 3 years ago they switched to Microsoft, but they were using the G Suites, and it worked. So, literally switched to Enterprise. G Suites. Home user. So let's see what they have for G Suites. So it's actually I have the business version here, just the free one. So let's go to more from Google. So the Google stuff, you can also buy Google smart products to tie into your G Suites. So let's say you have like a Google Home, for instance. Oh, why don't I go grab it real quick? So with a product like this, you could also tie that into. So this would actually be perfect for a classroom. So because you could actually use this to, like, let's say that you have like a thing where kids answer questions or something. They can, without spreading germs, they would be able to say, "Hey Google, why is Albert Einstein?" So, well, just as an example, or "Hey Google, what's negative a million times 12 or something like that?" Just as an example. So devices like these you can tie into those accounts, or even like the Google cameras and stuff like that. That's designed to integrate with. All you have to have is an Android tablet to set, or product to set that stuff up, or even if there's an emulator program that you can also use to intermingle with Android products and Google products. So that's also something. It's not something that the typical user can just download and be on your way. With the emulator, there was a lot of trial and error that I did with it in order to make a lot of Google stuff work that would normally not work on a computer. So if you're not an IT professional, chances are I would not mess with the protocol because you could destroy your computer in the process or corrupt some of the sectors. Only if you know what you're doing, then I would attempt it. But if you don't know what you're doing, I highly advise not playing with an emulator because you could corrupt the computer, and you don't want to make a boat anchor out of it. So just to give you a warning there. So we're gonna move on. Let's see. Open another. I got another page here that we're gonna look at. Actually, first we're gonna Chrome. Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, I see that Dell took the Chromebook or the out of the home lineup. So the only place that Dell you can currently buy Chromebooks is would be under the for work section. Because if you go to it's in Latitude section. It's called Chromebook Enterprise Series, and they have the 13 2-in-1 convertible laptop. So the 2-in-1, most of you know that you can flip it around and you can do all sorts of different things with the screen. And I actually serviced one, but it wasn't a Dell, it was an Acer. And then you have your 14-inch Chromebook Enterprise edition here. And you can order the cheapest one you can buy. It's currently on sale for $779 at Dell.com. That one you get a Intel Celeron 430 or 4305U processor with the integrated UHD graphics 610 with DisplayPort over Type-C for Intel 8th Gen 4305U. In a way, I kind of think that's a lot of money for just a Celeron processor. And even 4 gigs of RAM is just not enough, honestly. So here you have a Core i3 Chromebook for $879 on sale. And the real kicker is the price is $1,200 for a Core i3 Chromebook. And I'm thinking, man, why would you spend? So then they have Core i5. Most expensive Chromebook here. This is a Core i5 836 or 8365U processor. Chrome Enterprise upgrade management. And you're still getting the same graphics. This one has 8 gigs of RAM, DDR4, non-ECC memory, and a 256 gig PCIe M2 solid state drive. And that's on sale for $1,479. The regular price would have been $2,286. Honestly, I think you could do better. I think that because if you go to like a Dell like Latitude laptop, and I'm thinking, so let's say for instance, let's check the 9000 series. So for instance, you can get a Dell Latitude for a few dollars more. You get the new Latitude 9510, 10th generation Core i5 with Windows 10 Pro, 8 gigs of DDR4 memory, and then you get 128 PCIe M2 solid state drive. And that's a 15-inch with numeric keypad. So for a few dollars more, you can get yourself an actual Windows computer compared to paying So for about $500 more, you can get a full-blown Windows computer instead of the Chromebook. And if you went, let's check Lenovo ones. And we'll go under. So let's see what a little tablet here. So the cheapest one you can get from Lenovo is like $59 with Google Android on it. And the most expensive one tablet you can get is, which is actually a ThinkStation Hub 500 for Microsoft Teams. And basically that one you can get for about $2,579. But you get a Core i5, Windows 10, and you could also use that system as a POS machine or point of sales. All you need is a electronic cash drawer in the dot matrix terminal printer for printing receipts. And so let's go to laptops. What brand? I would think, let's see here, Chromebooks. Well, here's the next best thing to a Chromebook. You got your 11E series laptops, ultra rugged, built. I actually have one of those laptops I got from a friend. I traded him an EliteBook because I was so tickled pink by a ThinkPad. I have the 11E from 2014. This is mine. You could either get the Intel Pinion processor or the AMD. I wanted the AMD, so mine's only an A4 processor, but for a little bit that I use it, it works well. Sure, it's like an $800 laptop, but the construction of those Lenovo netbooks are so well, you could actually sit and throw it at the wall, and the worst that'll happen is you just put a scratch in it, or if you beat on it, it's tough. They're tough, rugged computers. So instead of spending $1,200 on a Chromebook, you should just get yourself a 11-inch netbook from Lenovo. You just get yourself a ThinkPad 11E, 5th generation. Okay, that one only has a Celeron processor. This is the Yoga version. Oh, they all have Celeron. Okay. There's one I have the AMD. So evidently Lenovo discontinued doing the AMD version of it. But mine, if I wanted to put 16 gigs of RAM in it, I could put 16 gigs in there. But the friend I had, they only came with 4, so he put another 12800 stick in there, and that would make a good student computer. So it's, in all honest reality, I would avoid the Chromebooks at all costs and just get the ThinkPad 11-inch. So that's, even HP doesn't have anything quite compared to the Lenovo. So go to HP's website. Let's go under laptops here. and shop our laptops. So let's look under Chromebooks. So you got two Chromebooks here. You got the clamshell. So the cheapest one that you can buy is for $249, which is still a lot of money. And so for the cheapest one, you can get a 15-inch Chromebook for $500. That's Core i3 processor, 8 gigs of memory, and then 128 eMMC storage. And then if you want to go more expensive on the Chromebook or go higher end or get the 360 for about $600, you can get the Core i3, which is actually no different other than I thought the other one was a better deal with the clamshell because you can get yourself a 15-inch for the same price, same configuration. The one on the other part of the site was only 14 and you didn't get the numeric. So we'll go under business. And we're also going to look at cloud computing computers, which are called thin client. So let's see what you can get for a thin shop online. So for a thin client computer, you can get you can get one for about $7.99 for an all-in-one, and then for the little terminal box, you can get starting at $369. And basically, you have a mainframe server that drives the unit instead of actually all being local on the machine. All the settings and stuff would just be coherent with the server. Even though the per unit is cheap, but you have to have server light software and the operating system is expensive. So are you really saving a lot of money by switching to cloud computing? Or is it more cost effective just to buy Windows computers and still have them hooked up to a domain? It's a horse apiece because there's still pros and cons to both ways. Pros with thin computing or thin clients are you don't have to worry about any software upgrades individually. Your server, you just upgrade your server time to time with software. Because basically, with a device like that, you don't really have to worry about individually updating the machines. But if your main server goes down, then all those thin clients aren't going to work either. So you're up a creek without a paddle. And vice versa. Windows PC, it goes out, the individual person won't be happy about it. But basically, the concept behind the thin client was like years ago with the old like Macintosh systems where you use Apple Talk, where all the computers were daisy chained with BNC connectors. And if you broke the circle, then nothing worked. And stuff like that didn't happen very often because the person that that would have thought about doing it didn't want to get beat up by the other kids. So, and it also kind of goes with the concept of token ring topology networks from 30 plus years ago. And basically, with a token ring network, you also have, it's basically a big star. And let's say you're looking for a file. So I'll go to each device asking, do you have this file that I'm looking for? And the device will basically say, no, I don't have what you're looking for. Go down to the next one. So it'll go around in a circle until it finds what it's looking for. They don't use token ring anymore. That's pretty much a relic of the past. But that's not the whole point of this stream here. So now we're going to look at let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 2010 when the Chromebooks came out. That was 2011. And Acer and Samsung were the first companies to actually develop the Chromebook devices. So I didn't know. I thought it was a decade, but it's pretty close to a decade that it's been around. So let's take a look here. So the first Chromebook was introduced by, actually Samsung was the first one. So June 15th of 2011. And Chrome is actually a distribution of Linux. And I'm sure most of people out there know that by now. But Chromebooks have come a long ways since 2011. So it's quite interesting. I guess even LG has one. So it astounds me how well that people have, and how popular some of these products have become. You think to yourself when something comes out that it's never going to take off, but a lot of times they do. It was like they thought Google Glasses was going to take off. That didn't take off. That was just a joke. So, on that note, we're going to call it a stream. Personally, as far as like the main stats of repairing Chromebooks, that can be done. But the thing that I'm not wild about is when it comes to repairing them, there's a lot of work that goes into reassembly and disassembly. It's no worse than tearing apart a Pavilion laptop and trying to fix it and put it all back together piece by piece. Or it's no different than the Envy or this HP Stream or Dell Inspiron or Lenovo one or IdeaPads. They're not as user friendly to work on as you would like, but that's the manufacturer's way of making them cheap. Because they gotta make something off of it too. So It's a horse apiece either way when it comes to devices like that. And eventually, Chromebooks will eventually dominate the netbook world in laptop, because people just want simple devices that work. They don't want complicated setup. And even Chromebooks they're starting to make desktop computers that run on Chrome OS, so that's something as well. So take care, everybody. God bless. Stay safe, and we'll see you very soon.